The Hale Villa in Westport hadn't changed. Snow trimmed the rooftop like icing on a gingerbread house, a luxury illusion wrapped in white. Rowan parked the car, engine humming low as we sat for a moment longer than necessary. "You okay?" he asked, glancing at me. I adjusted the gift box on my lap, red wrapping impeccable, bow tied with surgeon's precision. Ready as I'll ever be. Inside, warmth and holiday, music greeted us. Not warmth from people, though, just the thermostat doing its job. "Delara," my mother Irene said, lips pressed into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, and Rowan." Her gaze flicked to the box in my hands. How thoughtful. Maris swept into the room in a silk emerald gown, radiating self-congratulation. "Merry Christmas, sis. Isn't this place perfect?" "The tiles imported," she announced to no one in particular. "From Spain. You'd never find this kind of quality in a starter home." Carlton, my father, nodded from his place near the fireplace, drink in hand. They didn't ask how I'd been. Didn't mention the wedding. Not a whisper. "So." Irene sipped her wine, voice sweetened with poison. "When is it your turn?" I blinked. To cry? To break? To pretend I didn't send invitations with RSVP cards 8 months ago? Ever had someone erase your truth with a smile? I inhaled quietly. Smile back. Not yet. Maris launched into a tour of the new villa, talking about crown moldings and wine cellars. I nodded, half listening. But in my mind, I was back in my wedding gown, the silk clinging to my arms as I turned to look at the empty seats marked Mom and Dad. Camera flashes couldn't hide the silence. The officiant had to pause, confused, thinking maybe they were just late. They weren't. A week later, I found an unopened invitation in the trash bin outside their home. Irene said she never saw it. I believed her back then. Now, Maris live-streamed herself, phone angled, just right. "This villa is what you get when you show up for your family, right, Del?" And I stood there, a ghost at a party I had never left. What do you do when your success becomes someone else's insult? Gift exchange. Everyone laughing, posing. Carlton handed me a flat box. I unwrapped it. A card. 12-month premium subscription to MatchSpark, a dating app. And a book. How to Be Happy Dying Alone. Maris burst into laughter. "It's a joke. A family joke." Irene giggled. "You said you liked self-help books, didn't you?" Carlton chuckled, eyes fixed on his drink. Rowan's hand found mine under the table. I didn't grip it. I placed the book down gently. "Thank you," I said, voice calm. Very thoughtful. Not a crack in my face. They think I'll swallow this like I always have. Would you call them out? Or wait for the perfect moment? I glanced at my phone screen under the table. The red light blinked. Recording on. Rowan's voice buzzed softly in my earpiece. Camera 2 caught it all. "Ready when you are." Irene leaned over to Maris. I only skimmed that invite anyway. I smiled. The lie was unraveling. Maris tapped her phone, posted another clip. "Family means showing up. Right, Del?" Still smiling, I reached under the table and slid a photo next to my wine glass. A glossy print. 2 empty seats. Front row. Marked Mom and Dad. Sometimes silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. Agree? I stood. "Can I say something?" They all looked up. I raised my glass. To villas. To gifts. To knowing how to truly own something. Then I placed a shiny key beside Maris's wine. Next, I pulled out a manila folder. Since we're in the spirit of sharing, I thought I'd return this. I slid the folder across the table. Legal documents peeked from the top, property deed, my name highlighted. Maris's face drained. "What is this?" Carlton sat forward. "Delara, what's going on?" I smiled, steady. "You left this at my wedding, like the rest of yourselves." Have you ever handed someone the truth and watched it burn? We walked out into the crisp night air. Snow crunched under our feet. Lights flickered behind us, but no one followed. Not yet. Rowan held my hand. I didn't need dessert, I whispered. He smiled. I already served the course they'll never forget. The next afternoon, I returned to the Hale estate. No snow this time. Just the kind of biting winter wind that makes a person feel unwelcome before a word is spoken. Fitting. I wore navy wool, tailored sharp. In my hand was a leather folder, slim but heavy with intent. Carlton opened the door himself. "Delara," he said, tight-lipped. "We were hoping you'd come." "Of course you were," I replied, stepping inside. The living room looked untouched, staged for civility. Irene perched at the end of the long beige sofa, hands clasped like a tragic actress awaiting her cue. "Last night was unfortunate," she began. I sat. Rowan took a seat near the fireplace, eyes calm, voice off. Maris stood by the bar, arms crossed, posture dripping with injured pride. "We didn't expect you to blow up Christmas, Delaware." "You expected me to keep swallowing," I said, smiling. "Sorry to disappoint." Jackson hovered by the window, silent. The energy in the room was wrong, calm, but in the way dry leaves are calm right before a match is struck. Have you ever smiled at someone just to watch them squirm later? I set the folder on the coffee table and opened it with care. "This," I said, lifting out a crisp document, "is the deed to the villa." Maris scoffed. "You gave it to me." I nodded. "Symbolically, not legally." From my bag, I retrieved a small screen, tapped play. Footage appeared, me placing the key in Maris's hand. "To hold on to." "Temporarily," I said in the recording. She'd smiled then, unaware of the second camera capturing our angle from behind the fireplace mantel. Rowan handed Jackson a tablet. Same moment, different view. Time-stamped. Maris's jaw clenched. "You planned this." "I protected myself," I corrected. Jackson looked confused. "You mean, it was never hers?" "It never legally could have been," I said, turning to him. "You're a lawyer, Jackson. Intent doesn't override ownership." His silence said everything. What's more powerful, revenge or clarity backed by proof? From the folder, I removed a cream envelope. From Lena Portner, my attorney. Irene leaned in, dread painted across her face. I continued. "It's a notice. Reclamation process initiated. Effective immediately." Carlton sat up. "Delara, we don't need lawyers." "Carlton," I interrupted. "This isn't a negotiation." Inside the envelope were bank records. Transfers made over the past year. Money withdrawn from a trust account bearing my name. "You used my money," I said. "For your deals. Your reputation. Your daughter's villa." Carlton's face hardened. "It's a family matter." I pulled out the second page, my forged signature. "Then why fake this?" The room shrank around him. Jackson's face turned gray. "That's fraud." Carlton opened his mouth, closed it. "Would you expose a lie, even if it means breaking your family?" Maris moved suddenly. "This is fake." She doctored it. She lunged for my phone. Rowan stepped between us, but not fast enough. Her hand caught the edge of the coffee table. A glass shattered. "Stop this!" Irene shouted. "You're humiliating us." "I'm defending myself," came a voice from the hallway. All heads turned. Odessa Quinn stood there, regal even with her cane. She entered slowly, each step deliberate. She laid the cane down with a soft knock on the hardwood, then looked directly at Carlton. "You let this happen," she said. "You let her be erased." No one responded. Maris backed away, defeated. When the truth steps into the room, does your voice rise or fall? Jackson turned to Maris. "Did you know the villa wasn't legally yours?" She didn't answer. He slipped the engagement ring off his finger, placed it on the table. Didn't say a word. Carlton tried again. Let's not do this here. Let's talk privately. I remained seated. No. Rowan tapped his screen. A shared folder popped onto the TV. Emails. Messages between Carlton and Maris, conspiring over how to move assets quietly. Odessa looked at me, then at Irene. If there's shame in this house, it doesn't belong to Delara. I closed the folder, tucked it into my bag. You raised me to protect what's mine, I said to Carlton. That's the last favor you'll ever steal. Have you ever taken back your power from the hands that raised you? We stepped outside. No one followed. The cold bit harder today. As we reached the car, Rowan opened the door, eyes on the road ahead. One down, he said. I didn't reply, but I knew. The apology would come. I just didn't know it had come with flowers. The SUV rolled to a slow halt in front of the black iron gate. Carlton sat in the front seat, his fingers drumming against the steering wheel. Maris, in the back, leaned forward in frustration, while Irene adjusted her pearl earrings as if it were a brunch in the Hamptons. The guard at the booth didn't flinch. Do you have an appointment? Carlton cleared his throat. I'm Carlton Hale. This is my property. Or was. The guard looked at the iPad again. Your name isn't on the authorized list. Please contact legal if you'd like to request entry. She's my daughter, Irene said. Surely there's a mistake. The guard remained neutral. Ms. Quinn instructed that all entries go through legal. I'm just following orders. A delivery van drove by slowly. The driver leaned out his window and quipped, Guess she's running the show now, huh? Maris scoffed. She's being petty. The SUV reversed slowly, gate still unmoved. Carlton didn't speak. When you lose access to someone's life, whose fault is that really? The phone rang just after dinner. I let it ring twice before answering. You embarrassed this family, Carlton's voice said. There are consequences for that. I didn't blink. You raised me to handle consequences. I'm ready. He paused. That silence that used to make me nervous now made me certain. I hit play on my end, his old voicemail from years ago. The one where he told me he was cutting me off until I came to my senses. You already did, I said. Now I've made it official. There was a clicking sound, either his jaw or the phone connection. Rowan, across the room, nodded. Uploading the archive now, he whispered. Would you take a call from someone who never truly heard you? Later that night, a ping lit up my phone. Maris had posted a quote on her Instagram story. Holding on to hate will poison your soul. I tapped the screenshot button, smiled faintly. Then I posted a photo of the legal notice we filed, captioned simply, Sometimes closure comes with a docket number. The comments started almost immediately. Strangers, old classmates, and mutuals chimed in, most in support. The tide had shifted. My phone buzzed again. Odessa. Let the silence answer them, she said. Not everything deserves a response. I leaned back against the couch, eyes on the ceiling. For once, I wasn't explaining myself to anyone. I didn't owe them that anymore. What would it take for you to stop explaining? Odessa arrived unannounced the next morning. Her driver waited in the car while she walked to the door with a wooden box in hand. This belonged to my sister, she said. We used to keep memories in it. She opened the lid. Inside were photos from my wedding, candid ones. Me laughing, me with Rowan, and a folded note written in ink. No one can erase the truth. I never forgot your name. Odessa. I didn't speak. My throat had closed. Odessa's eyes met mine. I may not live long, but I'll die knowing you knew I loved you. I wrapped my arms around her gently. She smelled like lavender and cedar. Thank you, I whispered, for remembering me. What's the one memory you wish someone else had kept safe for you? Rowan was finishing up the final software update on the security system. New signs had been installed at the front gate. Guests by appointment only. Legal inquiries. See contact. I walked slowly through the halls of the villa, fingertips grazing the paint I had chosen, the light switches I had moved, the flooring I had approved. For the first time, it didn't feel like I was occupying someone else's fantasy. In the study, I placed the wedding photo with Odessa's note next to it on a shelf. That shelf had been empty for months. Not anymore. This house is no longer haunted, I said quietly. I sent one last email to my attorney. No settlement. Let's proceed to court. What would it feel like to finally live in a space that's fully yours? The doorbell rang. Rowan answered, exchanged a few words with the courier, and returned with an envelope in his hand. You've been summoned, he said, placing it gently on the table. I opened it, read the contents, then looked up calm. Let's go one more round.